You mentioned within your community growing up, there were some families who had also adopted other children. Did you ever talk to them a lot about being adopted? Was there kind of that connection from that shared trait, or was it just kind of something you knew and that was it?
You would think I would have talked with them more. I think that being adopted, there's just so much. I feel as though one thing that I've learned from my experience with other adoptees is that, especially as we were younger, kind of growing up as teenagers and just trying to figure ourselves out, I just feel like there was just so much that was going on with us internally, that I felt even asking them or other adoptees about how they were feeling was just so like out of left field, kind of, because like, you're just bogged down with all like, who am I? I can't relate. You don't understand all this like anger, sadness. Like the last thing that you would think is, so, oh, let me ask this other adoptee, how do you deal with this? What's your, like, as much as you would think it'd be, well, why don't you just confide with them? Maybe they have some different life experiences that you maybe never thought of in that way. And maybe they've in a better, more progressive, productive way than you're doing it right now. And so I feel like I didn't even really ask. And maybe it was because my mom was always wanting me to ask that I just said, I'm not gonna ask, if they're other adopted, maybe you can relate to them, maybe you can talk to them like but I should have, I'm sure that, it would have, I feel like maybe if we were able to talk to each other, it would have been uh we would have been able to create potentially like stronger bonds and grow and connect more tightly than I think me and the other adoptees growing up were able to connect.
Yeah.
I think we felt secluded ourselves in our own feelings, and kind of put a facade on, of whatever we wanted to project. Hey, how's it going? How you doing? Okay, that'll hold, ordeal. But I would have, looking back, I guess I would have definitely loved to have had more meaningful conversations about being adopted with other adoptees.
Yeah. I wouldn't be too on yourself. It seems a pretty common theme that when you're a kid, you're just focused on the here and now and your own little bubble. And it sounds like you become older where you start realizing, oh, I could have done this. It sounds very normal behavior.
Yeah. It's funny though, because I met Megan when I was like, very young, like around 12 years old. And you would think that we would talk about our adoption, but we never really talked about our adoption per se. It was just more about our lives and less about how it kind of related to adoption, which is pretty interesting. As close as we were, it was. So I guess, yeah, that question eludes me too. I'm sorry, why didn't I ask her about that? I was just too busy asking. I don't know, life.
Well, do you think it was a lack of vocabulary? You didn't know how to start talking about it? Was there a desire to, or was it just not something you thought about?
I think it was just because looking back, I don't think that I even related any of my life's issues to necessarily being adopted, as weird as that felt. Although I was dealing with me not feeling like with my mom, or me not feeling like my mom understood me, and not realizing that it might have just been a legitimate way that nature versus nurture. Maybe my nature was just completely different than her nature because we were from different family trees from different parts of the world, and our just minds worked completely differently. But I guess I didn't even think about that. I was just kind of like, just, why don't you understand me? But whether or not like related to adoption, I think it was just like, I don't know. I never really connected those dots as blaringly obvious as that, that might have been. I don't know.
You mentioned that you had some insecurities, it sounds, about how you looked in comparison to your mom and her not quite understanding you. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Like, was that at a certain age in your life? Anything about that?
Yeah, I don't know how I know that how the world views me and Megan as Peruvians in New York City is vastly different. I, for example, if she's in my mom's building, sometimes somebody would assume her a cleaning.
I'm
For
sorry.
instance, if my mom if Megan was in my mom's building,
Mm-hmm.
she's kind of walking my mom's dog, just visiting my mom. Somebody might potentially consider her a dog walker, or if she's doing laundry, they might consider her a cleaning lady.
Yeah.
Opposed to me, if I walk into, well, I guess I can't work because I got grown up with my mom's, but if I were to walk into a building to go to a doctor's office, a residential building, because I have a dentist that's in a residential building, somebody might assume, and they have in the past, assume me a delivery person.
Mm.
Or so there's these like preconceived notions of how we look in New York City. So when it relates to me growing up, since she grew up in the suburbs and didn't have to deal with that, I've had to deal with that a lot longer in my life.
Mm.
In terms of being assumed being like a waiter or a busboy or being a delivery person. And it to me, I guess it created a lot of like animosity towards my mom and towards the people that I come from, because I don't understand why my mom didn't understand why I didn't understand that my mom couldn't pick up on these subtle cues that I could pick up on. And I also grew a lot of resentment towards other Hispanics, Peruvians that look like me, because of how they assumed who I was without even kind of knowing.
Yeah.
And that's something that I experienced towards my teenage years, and till current times. So it's definitely something that hits me and Megan differently. Growing up living here in New York City, a lot of preconceived labels that I feel people assume just based on how somebody looks. It makes me sad. I don't like feeling bad. It gives me unproductive feelings, resentment, anger, which makes me feel the same way in a way, like, makes me want to feel like I want to assume that they think that I think, it's just a not progressive way of thinking. Yeah. That's something that I just guess I had to grow up with, feeling insecure about.
Yeah. Yeah, we all. When you were a teenager, how did you kind of handle all those feelings and all those thoughts?
I had a lot of rage inside, a lot of anger. I didn't know how to express it properly. When I was a teenager, I got in some fights. My mom was very concerned about me. I wasn't doing well in school. I kind of was recluding into myself. Wasn't really believing in myself. I developed a eating problem. I would always eat to, to make me feel better. So I gained a lot of weight. I and it got really, really bad. My mom was very concerned that I was not passing ninth grade at the time, and I actually got into real. I think the final straw was in in there was one night I was with a group of friends and we went up to his apartment complex in it was kind of a project building, and we were just like drinking and we were just chilling, and somebody had noticed us from the rooftop and called the police on us. And I remember the police opening all the doors and with flashlights and just like pretty much like telling us that what are we doing here that we're breaking the law and that we're going to be arrested? So I ended up getting arrested, and I ended up going down to the precinct, and it was Friday, and I ended up staying there all the way until Monday in the holding cells in Chinatown, Canal Street. There's a huge, like, there's a courthouse down there, and so I just, that was really it was an eye-opening experience for my mom. For me, but it was an even more of an eye-opening experience for my mom. And I didn't know this, like, she was talking to a lot of her friends. A lot of her friends were really worried about me, and my school was really worried about me. And she ended up sending me to an outward bound wilderness camp for that summer. And she didn't tell me this, which is very unusual because I grew up kind of feeling like I was in control of the family. I was a not snobby kid. I was like, if I didn't get my way, I would cry. I was, spoiled brat, legitimately. And I just remember I remember one day, I would always love my friends to sleep over, and we would always stay up all night video games and like just be boys. And I remember one night I was like, all right, one of my friends is staying over, and she's, no, they're not. And I'm like, yeah, they are. I don't know why I'd be like that. They're gonna stay over, okay? And she's like, oh, they're not. But 9 o'clock, okay, good, because she was like that. But this time there was something different. I felt something in her that was just like, no. And what ended up happening was, I was, all right, fine, I'll win, kind of, all right, And I woke up, and I remember going to sleep that night and waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning with these. I lived, because there's no men that live in the house. It's just me and my mom. I woke up to knock on my door, and it was like 3 in the morning, and it was like grown ass dude saying, Sam, I'm coming in. Will you let me in? I'm like, no, dude. Like, what the hell's going on? Oh, go away. Like, I just remember saying, like, oh, what the fuck? Like, who are you? Like, and then like, and I'm like, oh, like, I'm not gonna open my door. And like, Sam, if you don't open your door, we're gonna come in, and we don't want to do this. So can you just please get dressed and come out? And all right, whatever. All right, whatever. I come outside, and there's these 2 dudes waiting for me, and they're like, come on, we're going. Like, where are we going? Don't worry about it, we're going. And I'm like, that's so strange. And they ended up handcuffing me and putting me into a taxi cab. And well, not a taxi cab, but a cab that one of them was in the backseat with me, and they were driving. And then we drove to the airport, and then we got on a plane, and then we went all the way to North Carolina. They took me in out of the plane into a car and drove me into the Adirondack Mountains in North Carolina. And next thing you know, in this camp's board intake facility, and they're telling me, give me all your cell phone, your MP3, your wallet, keys, and take off all your clothes and put on these blue jumpers and shirts. And that was the first day of a whole wild summer of, like, can't even describe it. Inner understanding, in rebirth, re-energizing of my mind. When I was there, I met these 12 other kids in the same predicament as me, all from different backgrounds, and a letter that literally was read from the counselors in front of everybody. It's random 12 dudes. I had no idea who they were. They're reading it. Hi, Sam, like, this is your mom. Like, I just want to let you know that I love you so much. You're here because, like, you know why you're here. You're not doing well, but I believe in you. I want you to get better, and you're gonna come back, and everything's gonna be great. But for now, you're gonna have to stay here, and you're gonna have to follow the process program. That was it. Sorry, I went on a little bit of a tangent, but like with this story, but
That's fine.
Huge turning point in my life, if not the biggest turning point in my life.
Was that letter the first time you kind of talked to your mom after you entered the camp, or was your mom there when the 2 guys came into your room, or basically dragged you out of your room?
Yeah, they had told my mom to kind of take a walk around the block because they felt as though if she was there, she would crack, and she wouldn't allow them to take me. So she wasn't even in the apartment when that happened. So I didn't see her or hear from her until that letter. I guess that morning. So yeah, I mean, that was a complete whirlwind of just a 180-degree change of what I was used to.
Wow.
It felt like felt like the jail, man. Like literally, I got my week's worth of food. I could not, if I finished all that food, that was it. I can't. I'd have to wait until the next resupply. It was we would go on uh camp, we would go on hikes every day, and then we would sleep outside and then do it again every day. We'd walk in the straight line. I just remember it felt like jail, you know. It's like talking about life outside of this place, you know. Man, when I get back, I'm gonna have this. I'm gonna have the biggest Big Mac ever, you know. At this food, man. And we're talking and reminiscing about our times in our respective lives of what we used to do. But yeah, I mean, that was really life changing event for me. Definitely talking, being more open with my feelings. There was a specific moment too. I guess I'll be brief real quick, but like in the middle of my experience, I was very resistant. I didn't want to follow this. I just wanted to go home. I was really upset at my mom. I was like just like curse my mom. I can't believe she did this to me. Like it's fucking ridiculous. It fucking sucks. And I just remember one day it was raining and it was horrible, miserable. I was completely soaked from inside out. It was just like, disgusting. And I ended up just breaking, and I just told them that I needed to use the bathroom, and I just ran. I just took off into the fucking wilderness and just ran. And I was gone a whole day in the wilderness, and they were looking for me. I just had a moment in my life that I've never had since, and I never had prior, where I've genuinely thought that I was going to die out there because there's poisonous snakes, and I had no idea how to get home. I was completely lost, and I was so tired and hungry, and I just literally accepted that. It was some wild ass experience, and I just remember pleading to God and just telling him that if he gives me another chance at life, that I promise, like I'm not gonna fuck it up. Like I'm gonna do everything my mom wants. I'm gonna get with the program. I'm gonna snap out of it. I'm gonna change, you know. But if if he wants me to die, if this is my last ride, then I just wanted to, tell him that I'm grateful for the life that I lived and everything. Literally, the next thing I did was I just like picked a spot in the road and I just like walked, and I ended up walking right back into the camp. And from then on out, I was just, what do I got to do? What do I got to do to get out of here? 100%. I bought in 100%. Let me know. You want me to talk about you want me to talk about my feelings? You want me to talk about like obsess me? You want, here, this is everything. You need me to build traps to excel in the program, you know, I'll do it. I'll do anything. And then next thing you know, I ended up coming back home, and which was an anomaly. Every kid that went there ended up going to boarding school after, and the fact that I was able to go home after just showed that, I guess, how 180 of a trip that I made. And I ended up coming back. I ended up 100% embracing school. I ended up completely doing so good in 11th grade, doing my ACT SATs. Didn't do great, but I didn't do bad either. I got in pretty good positions, did even better in my 12th grade year. And I went to college and cut my weight down, got into a lot of fitness. So it was really, that was a game changer like my life. But yeah, maybe that's why, just to bring it back to perspective of adoption, like that's kind of why I have such like high regards for my mom, high regards for my family, for how they raised her, for how they brought her up, for not giving up on me, for giving that courage of never giving up on myself. So it was definitely positives with adoption.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. I imagine that could have been kind of difficult to share, and I really appreciate that. I want to keep listening to all of that. Maybe next time I would love to hear more about this.
Yeah, for sure. I'm always happy to share.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you for sharing. That's very interesting. To go back a little bit, although I am generally serious, I was just happily listening. I love hearing other people's stories. It's why I do this.
Yeah.
So, when you were growing up, did your adopted family members talk to you, if at all, about how other people may perceive or respond to you being a different race than the rest of your family? You talked about how people assumed you're kind of the help when you're in a place you didn't know. Did your family ever try talking to you about how to respond to that or why that was happening?
No, no, I think it was more my mom would say like, "Oh my God, really? Oh, I that's not okay. God, I'm so sorry, Sam. I didn't even know." Kind of that, and I felt it was pure and genuine, but I felt like there was like a level of just like understanding that. But like, I asked myself too, what would I have wanted them to do? Per se. It's not something that they even would know. I mean, it's just such a strange, which left me in a predicament of just feeling hopeless, I guess. In terms of, I understood that they would never understand because they were never me. They don't wear my skin. They don't know what it's like. But that it just is. And knowing that my mom, it was even worse that my mom felt horribly bad. It would have been one thing if my mom was like, "What are you talking? That's not even the case." But the fact that she was like so concerned and so remorseful and empathetic, it just, I don't know what to do now. You gave me everything that I need, and I still feel like, I don't know, I'm still angry. It's a very helpless anxiety feeling that just kind of went all these different ways, sad, angry,
Yeah.
which definitely gave me some animosity towards people who viewed me that. But it was weird. It wasn't necessarily towards like, because people. It was more like if I felt like my own race was being more racist towards me than, which is oddly interesting.
Yeah.
And an interesting perspective that I feel nowadays. Too. I feel like even white people, if they say something, it's out of naiveness of just like completely just being off. I would get it 9 out of 10 times, maybe somebody would assume something of me. If they were a Caucasian person, I would get this response like, "Oh God, I'm so sorry." Like, "Oh," that very genuine. And with the others, it's like, "What's your delivery? Not working with seamless." Oh, like from somebody else who looks at me. I'm like, I don't know. But yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
some things that.
Yeah, that's something that's worth a lot more exploration of how you can kind of have discrimination against people who look exactly like you, even more so than other races, and it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, especially like too. I guess definitely, and I know that Megan talks about her birth family and how they view skin color. The lighter your skin, the more more, I guess, more people are looked up to. The more you're
Yeah.
valued, darker your skin, society,
Yeah.
which is really.
And what emphasis, if any, have you or your adopted family placed on your racial ethnic identity? Were there times where you felt like you needed to explore your identity more and less? Was that a topic that even came up? Yeah.
My family wanted me to explore my identity.
Yeah, you were mentioning your mom kind of encouraging you to talk to other adoptees. Did she also try to get you into Peruvian culture when you were younger?
Yeah, well, when I was 12, she took me back to Peru, a whole bunch of Peruvian adoptees, which is where I met Megan, to kind of see what the culture that I was born from was about. But I never really, although it was really nice knowing, well, I can't even say that because I met Megan. She was a big part of my life.
Mhm.
So I can't really say that it wasn't a big turning point in my life, but in terms of like my overall identity about how I felt was more learned through the day-to-day experiences of like me just mingling through life in New York City and meeting other people who looked like me, or Dominicans, or like Puerto Ricans, or other ethnicities, and
Mhm.
kind of figuring where I stood in all that. I think that my particular case, I was less interested in my identity, honestly, and more interested in like I was and still am a huge music buff, a huge musician, and so a lot of my life I was music based. So I was exploring my musical identity more, how I felt about music, what kind of music I wanted to make, what music I was relating to for such a long period of my life. So I felt maybe more that was my social identity exploring when it came to that, and less more of ironically how I looked. Just
Yeah. Yeah, cool. I know we're getting close to our time. I want to be respectful of your time. So I have about 2 more questions left for you. One is looking back on your experiences growing up as a transracial adoptee, what would you want a prospective family to know before they adopted a child of another race? Can you think of anything you would want them to intentionally do before they adopted a child?
I would want to tell them that if they were going to adopt a child from South America, more specifically a boy, to know that it's going to be potentially a handful.
How so?
Boys are, I don't, for me, I was very, although I was a very nice, I was very open, outgoing, there was times in my life where I was a handful. There's a lot of rage in me, again, to a lot of fights. So just knowing that if you were to adopt a boy as a working parent from South America, just know that there is you know so much potential, so much amazing times, but there will be times, especially with boys, I feel that they will struggle, especially in their teenage years, with who they are and where they fit into this world, and to have a lot of patience and nurture them, be there for them, and not give up on them, even if they want you to, just to muscle through it, because they love you, and there's going to be a time where they're going to thank you, and they're going to be very appreciative, hopefully, God willing, of all the time and love and effort that you put into them.
Okay. Can you elaborate more on why specifically South American boys? A lot of other adoptees can come from Asia, Africa, but you're specific about South America?
Oh, because just I don't I feel maybe I don't have the experience of knowing how other ethnicities from other boys from other adoptee parts of the world might develop in America. But I know that, like, through my experiences and through experiences of other men who weren't adopted but who are from South America, have knowing that there's a lot of feelings, a lot of potent feeling that needs to be expressed, and roller coasters, and just a lot there. So I feel I can confidently say, there's people who come from that area of South America, that just specifically boys, to know that we're a handful, but that we're worth it. That's what I would say, because I don't know if my mom really knew what she was getting herself into with me, but I might have just been a one-off. I don't know. Maybe it's different.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying. Okay. And last question, because I know I do want to make sure I let you out on time. So you're actually the first parent, I believe, adoptee that I know of. And I'm kind of curious, with you raising Maya, has that kind of changed your own opinion about adoption and your experiences? How has that shaped your perspective now?
It shapes it a lot. I know. Well, I'll just use one example in particular pertains to what I was talking about adoptee boys and how we could be a struggle or a handful. Maybe it doesn't even relate to boys or men or female or male, but I know that my daughter grew up in split households. She had her mom and dad were together for maybe 2 years of her life, and then we weren't together. That was very hard on her. There was different parenting styles, just different lives, different parent atmospheres, family atmospheres, dynamics that were going on. And there's a lot of turmoil in her, and there were some times in her life where she was so angry, and she would get into these fits of just complete rage and just crying, and just nothing could calm her down. She could not be soothed. And it just reminded me of myself when I was a kid. I just would not stop crying. I don't know. I was just so angry, and I would just throw things. I would just hit the wall. And she was very similar to that, and I could see that in her. I remember she would want to hit me, and she would punch me, a few times. But I felt as though in some primitive parenting Papa Bear instinct, where that's like I felt like I kind of just let her, just let her express herself to me, and not punish her for her outbursts, her physical outbursts, because I just understood that she needed to get that out, and the last thing that she needed was somebody to scold her for what she already knew she was doing was wrong, but she needed to just express that in a way. And I remember Megan was there too at the time, and she was just so like, she couldn't even handle it, because she was like, I can't even see her acting out with you, because like that's just so wrong. But in my mind, I just felt like she needs this. I don't know how to explain it, but she just needs that kind of like outburst of, I know that she knows that like no matter what she would do to me, I would just show her this love. Just like, I'm here for you. I'm not giving up on you. Just make me a little teary-eyed, but
Mhm.
but I felt that, and I know she felt that. So yeah, it was kind of just this connection that I felt like I might have had with my mom, but I have with her. So it's like a full circle. I know you get me, and I get you, and we're gonna get through this. So yeah, I mean, I know there's just she's gonna be a teenager one day, and there's gonna be so much more that I'm gonna have to go through, but I think because of how far I've come, and just how much I know is in her, and all these feelings, all these frustrations, I just we'll see. We'll see what happens, but I just know that that's something that as an adoptee, I feel I understood with her, as somebody who felt like she might have not been understood, in the sense of, which I can't even relate to, of having two parents split up, you know growing up. But at least maybe one day me and her could bond. That idea of just nobody understanding that idea of us. Yeah, I don't know.
So it sounds like it really helped your sense of empathy, would you say?
Yeah, patience of just seeing through these face valued emotions, in this anger, and knowing that it's just fear, and it's sadness beneath it all, and just knowing that I have to keep my composure to show her subconsciously that I'm there. I'm not like giving up on you. But I felt as though she felt that. And I wonder if one day when she is my age, she'll let me know. And I'll lose it. I knew it, but we'll see.
I think we need more dads like you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm trying.
You're not trying, you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to talk about that you thought I'd ask but didn't? Anything you kind of wanted to share?
Um, not, not at the moment, but definitely if there's anything that I think of, I'll definitely let you know.
Thanks. Yeah, let me know if there's anything these questions brought up for you, like that made you think about something. But otherwise, this was, like I said, I love hearing other people's stories and experiences, and it's kind of the reason why I'm choosing this line of work. So thank you for sharing your time with me and your stories. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, yeah, thank you so much for doing what you're doing. And I really appreciate, you wanting to gather stories from the other adoptees, because I know that future adoptees will look back on this data and stuff. I think that they will, and take from it and improve on it and get more awareness and understanding of where we come from in our stories. It's really important.
Beautifully worded. Trying to think of make sure I have everything in my head memorized. I'm going to send you a copy of a demographic questionnaire. If you and Meg could just fill that out and send to me, it's just really basic. Year you were born, what country were you from, that sort of thing. Just so it's just an easy way of keeping track of everything. Feel free to email that to me anytime. It's not that long. And as always, if you have any questions or anything you want to talk about, let me know. I know Meg always asks, you guys are welcome to completely use this video if you are also filming. Awesome. Feel free to use whatever you'd like. I can share with you the photo if you would like. Just let me know.
Yeah, that'd be great. We'll definitely use videos, audios for this. I would love to.
Yeah, absolutely. I will share that with you as soon as everything's processed. Like there was one other thing. Okay, one last thing. I promised that I will send all participants a easy to read summary of my results once I get them. That will probably take a bit just because, research. But I am remembering that as of right now, I am not fiscally funded. I'm working on that, and I would love to retroactively compensate everyone who's giving interviews, because your time is valuable, and I really appreciate that. So that is in the works. I will let you know how that all goes later.
Awesome. Yeah, anytime. I'm happy to share.
Thank you. Okay. Again, I'm going to send you that questionnaire for you and Meg. Fill it out whenever, no rush. And I'm here if you need anything.
Awesome. All right. Thank you
Bye,
again.
Sam.